There comes a moment when time meets eternity, when heaven interrupts the routine of man, when the voice of the Almighty breaks into the noise of this world, and that moment is now. The Spirit is speaking, not to the crowds, not to the masses, but to the chosen. Those who are appointed from the foundations of the earth, those whose names are written not in dust, but in the book of life. Those who carry within them the mark of the kingdom, the seal of redemption, the call to be set apart. And as we draw closer to August 2, 2025, the urgency of the hour grows heavier, more pressing, more undeniable. It is not the voice of man that sounds the alarm, but the Spirit of the living God who declares, "Awake, O sleeper, and rise from the dead." For a line is being drawn in the unseen realm, and that line will divide not just the wicked from the righteous, but the devoted from the deluded, the surrendered from the compromised, the truly chosen from the merely churched. We are witnessing the replaying of ancient patterns, the repetition of prophetic cycles, the fulfillment of divine mysteries hidden since the days of old. The days of Noah were not marked merely by violence and corruption, but by apathy in the face of warning. The people heard the message, saw the ark, watched the preparation, but they did not respond. And when the door was shut, it was not Noah who shut it, it was God. So too now, a door stands open before the chosen ones, but it will not remain open forever. The call is going forth not only to flee from judgment, but to cross into purpose, to rise into destiny, to become the vessels for which you were created. This is not a call of fear, but of fire, not a warning to paralyze, but a cry to mobilize. For the chosen have fallen asleep in the comfort of the world, lulled by distractions, entangled by compromise, and paralyzed by doubt. But God is not looking for those who are perfect. He is looking for those who are willing to lay down the weight, to cut off the mixture, to renounce the idols, to rise in holiness, and walk the narrow path. You were not created for the approval of man. You were not anointed for mediocrity. You were not chosen for the fading kingdoms of this world. You were set apart for such a time as this, to be light in the darkness, to be fire on the altar, to be a sign and a wonder, a voice crying in the wilderness. But the voice cannot rise until the heart is cleansed. The altar cannot burn until the sacrifice is laid down. The chosen cannot fulfill their calling if they continue to drink from the cup of Babylon. There's a cost to being chosen. It is not popularity, but persecution. Not applause, but opposition. Not comfort, but crucifixion. The way of the chosen is the way of the cross, the narrow road, the path that leads to life but begins with death. Death to self, death to sin, death to this present age. And yet it is through that death that the power of resurrection flows. This is the mystery of the kingdom, that what you surrender, he multiplies. What you lay down, he lifts up. What you give, he returns, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. But you must choose, and the time to choose is now, before the shaking intensifies, before the fire falls, before the door is shut. The word says judgment begins in the house of God. That means the separation begins not with the world, but with the chosen, with those who carry his name, but have mixed it with compromise, with those who lift their hands in worship, but walk in disobedience, with those who sing of surrender, but refuse to obey. The line is being drawn. The Spirit is brooding. The trumpet is sounding. And it is not the judgment of wrath, but the judgment of love. The righteous judgment that separates so that he may sanctify, that purges so that he may purify, that awakens so that he may anoint. The chosen must rise before the darkness falls. The enemy intensified his assault because he knows his time is short. He is not after the world. He already owns that. He is after the remnant, the warrior bride, the ones who carry the fire. He knows that if you awaken, if you rise, if you stand, if you speak, his strongholds will fall, his deception will be shattered, and the captives will be set free. That is why you faced warfare. That is why you've endured crushing. That is why the attacks have come so relentlessly, not because you are weak, but because you are dangerous, because you carry something he fears, because you are chosen. But you must not remain in the place of surviving. You must shift into the place of overcoming. It is not enough to resist the enemy. You must advance the kingdom. It is not enough to believe. You must obey. It is not enough to be stirred. You must be changed. And that change begins not on August 2, but before it. For the Spirit is preparing a people, consecrating a remnant, setting apart a generation that will not bow to Baal, will not eat at Jezebel's table, will not blend in, back down, or shut up. A generation like Daniel, who refused to defile himself with the king's delicacies. Like Esther, who risked her life to stand before the throne. Like Elijah, who stood alone on Mount Carmel and called fire down from heaven. You are not waiting for the world to change. The world is waiting for you to arise. The creation groans for the revealing of the sons and daughters of God. But they will not be revealed through compromise. They will be revealed through consecration, through holiness, through fire, through love that burns with purity and truth. And the hour is now. The moment is appointed. The line is drawn. The Spirit is searching the earth for hearts that are fully His. Will He find yours? August 2 is not the beginning of the end. It is the end of pretending, the end of delay. For those who cross it in surrender, there will be an unleashing of power. For those who delay, there will be a fading of light. The chosen must choose to be chosen, to step out, to step up, to burn. You were not saved to be safe. You were not chosen to be comfortable. You were called to turn the world upside down. Before August 2, heaven is issuing the summons. Will you respond? Will you rise? Will you burn again with first love? Will you cleanse your hands and purify your heart? Will you leave behind what must be left and take up what must be carried? For the harvest is great, the hour is late, the king is coming, and the chosen must rise. Let the line be drawn in your heart. Let this be the day you cross over. Let this be the moment you answer the call. Let the fire fall. Let the chosen arise. Let it begin with you. There are moments in history when time becomes sacred, when a date is no longer just a mark on a calendar, but a divine threshold, a gate between what was and what will be. August 2, 2025 is such a moment. It is not merely a date. It is an appointment, an intersection between heaven and earth. A moment sealed in the mystery of God. To the natural eye, it may appear like any other day, but to the eyes of the Spirit, it is a trumpet blast. It is a signal to the chosen, a cry from eternity saying, "Awaken, for the hour has come." This is not about fear. It is not about panic. It is about preparation. It is about destiny. It is about answering the call that has echoed since the days of old. The call that now grows louder, more urgent, more pressing. The call is not to wait, not to speculate, but to respond. Because to the chosen ones, delay is no longer an option. Heaven's window is open now, and August 2 marks a divine turning point. Throughout the scriptures, God marked moments in time that changed the course of human history. Passover was one such moment. The Red Sea crossing was another. So was the giving of the law at Sinai, the fall of Jerusalem, the outpouring at Pentecost. These were not random days. They were appointed times. Modem, set apart, sealed with purpose. And those who discern the times were positioned for glory. Those who missed the hour were left in confusion. Now, once again, we are approaching a mode, a divine appointment. Not marked by religious ritual, but by prophetic urgency. The clock is ticking not in the realm of man, but in the courts of heaven. And the question is not whether the day will come, it will. The question is whether you will be ready when it does. This is not a warning in the flesh. This is a call in the Spirit. The urgency is not rooted in news headlines or political unrest. It is rooted in the heart of God. It is the urgency of a father calling his children to come home. The urgency of a bridegroom preparing for his bride. The urgency of the Spirit calling the chosen ones to take their place. For too long, many have lived as if there is always more time. They have delayed obedience, postponed surrender, tolerated compromise. But the hour is now upon us where delay becomes disobedience, where hesitation becomes rebellion, where indecision becomes defilement. This is the hour when the chosen must step into alignment, full alignment, not partial, not conditional, not comfortable, but full, because anything less will not be able to withstand what is coming. August 2 is not a deadline. It is a lifeline, a point of mercy, a summons to turn before the winds shift, before the shaking intensifies, before the window closes. For those who respond, there is a door of breakthrough. For those who ignore it, there may come a ceiling of consequences. This is not spoken to stir anxiety. It is spoken to stir repentance, revival, and reformation. Because revival never begins in the world. It begins in the heart of the chosen. It begins when those who are called by his name humble themselves, pray, seek his face, and turn from their wicked ways. Then, and only then, does the healing come. Then and only then does the outpouring begin. The chosen must be the first to return, the first to weep, The first to burn, the first to rise. The time for casual Christianity is over. The days of lukewarm faith are behind us. The shaking that has begun in the world is only the beginning. What is coming will test every foundation, every motive, every allegiance. The chosen cannot afford to be neutral. There is no neutrality in the kingdom. There is only yes or no, surrender or rebellion, obedience or resistance. To delay your surrender is to declare your loyalty to another kingdom. The hour has come for a clear sound, a distinct cry, a full yes. And that yes must come before August 2, not because the calendar demands it, but because the Spirit has appointed it. Why does this day carry weight? Because in the unseen realm, the alignment has begun. The hosts of heaven are positioning. The watchers are alert. The books are being opened. The incense of intercession is rising. The Spirit is moving, and the chosen must respond, not with lip service, but with action, not with emotion, but with transformation. You cannot walk into what is next while clinging to what is past. You cannot carry the fire of God while holding on to the idols of Egypt. You cannot cross into promise while entertaining the mindset of slavery. The time is now. The hour is here. And August 2 is the line of decision. You were not created for such a time as this to hesitate. You were not born into this hour to remain on the sidelines. You were called to rise, to step into the fullness of your identity, to be the voice that pierces the silence, the light that drives back the darkness, the intercessor who stands in the gap. And heaven is watching. The cloud of witnesses surrounds you. The Spirit within you yearns with groanings, too deep for words. This is not a rehearsal. This is real. The time is short. The work is great. The harvest is ready, but the laborers must be willing. And this moment, this holy, sacred, divine moment is your invitation. Before August 2, lay down the weights. Cast off the sin. Cleanse your altar. Renew your covenant. For on the other side of obedience lies a release of glory, a fresh anointing, a double portion. But it cannot be received with divided hearts. The chosen must be all in, fully surrendered, totally consecrated, eternally committed. There is no going back. There is no shrinking down. There is only forward, only higher, only deeper, only Him. The time is now. The Spirit is moving. The call is clear. August 2 is not to be taken lightly. It is not a superstition or a theory. It is a summons, a wake-up call, a crossing point. For some, it will mark the beginning of a new chapter. For others, it will mark the loss of a moment they were born to seize. Do not let it pass you by. Do not wait until the trumpet sounds to prepare. Do not wait until the darkness falls to light your... Do not wait until the flood begins to seek the ark. The time is now. The day is holy. The hour is late. You have been chosen. Now choose to answer. Choose to surrender. Choose to rise. Before the day comes and the door is shut. Before the wind shift and the shaking begins anew. Before the window of mercy closes and the books are sealed. Let it be said of you that when the call came, you answered. That when the moment arrived, you were ready. That when the King returned, He found faith upon the earth. Let it be said that you discerned the times and you stepped into your appointment. Before August 2, before the day, before the storm, while the door is still open, let it be said, you obeyed.